Welcome to the More Than Fitness podcast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Minisode number 86 on the More Than Fitness podcast. And today's podcast, I'm not sure yet what the title is going to be, but as you guys know, I don't always like to do the same topics with these minisodes that everyone else does, right? So like 3 quick and easy breakfasts, like high protein breakfasts, or here's 3 exercises to really boost your shoulders. That stuff just doesn't interest me. I think that there's a place for it, and I think that I still cover some of those basics that people are curious about. I just put my own little spin on them. However, with this minisode, I wanted to touch on something that I don't hear other coaches especially talk about often. And I think it's important. I've just noticed it with my own fitness journey over the years. I've noticed it with the hundreds of clients that I've worked with. Some clients do better than others, but there's still some that come to me that really have to dig a little bit deeper and work on this. And I'm sure that if that's the case, there's at least a few of you out there that are trying to do the same thing. And I think it's probably appropriate to start with a quick story on where this kind of idea came from. And it was from one of my favorite people of all time. His name is Derek Sivers. You guys may have heard me talk about him before, but he's an author. He was also a CEO back in the day of a company called CD Baby, made millions of dollars, sold the company, and gave like $20 million to charity, actually. So really good dude, but he was on, I think, Tim Ferriss's podcast or some big name podcast. And the host asked Derek if you could put a big billboard out front of like the biggest mall in the world, right? So there's tons of stores that go in and people can buy whatever they want, right? If you could put a billboard out there for everyone to see, what would you put on that billboard? And Derek's answer is something that I really like. And he said, what I would put on the billboard is, it won't make you happy. Right. And I think that is, that's a big thing that people don't talk about with fitness, especially coaches, because they want to come across as the solution to all of your problems, right? You have these confidence issues, or you have these body fat issues. You want to gain more muscle. You want to look better in clothes, et cetera, et cetera. But what I don't think is talked about enough is this same concept of it won't make you happy, putting that up on a billboard. I kind of want to say that to a lot of the people that I work with and a lot of people on social media that are listening to this podcast. I want you to contemplate, and what's funny, what also brought this up was I actually said this to a client here recently, because she was worried about not losing the weight that she wanted. She had a weight goal that she wants to hit, and she was afraid of not getting under that goal. And I told her, of course, like we're gonna do everything possible to hit that weight goal, and I think it's important to have those goals. However, what I think is also important, and what I told her, I was like, I want you to really sit down without any distractions and think about, if you never hit that weight goal that you set for yourself, would you allow yourself to be happy, right? If you looked this exact same way for the rest of your life, would you be okay with that? And I think that that's something very important to contemplate whenever you set these fitness goals. Actually, before you ever set these fitness goals, I just want you to really think about what would happen if you never reach these goals. This idea also comes from a psychotherapist that talked about anxiety that I really liked. And he was talking about how anxiety is just a part of who we are. We have these stressors in our life, and anxiety is one of them, and it's there for a reason. And he said that what is so difficult for some of my patients to hear, because he's a psychotherapist, he works with clients one-on-one, and he was like, what's difficult for them to hear is, you're not ever going to be able to get rid of this anxiety. And so whenever the patients, they constantly try and reject and suppress their anxiety, right? They're just like, I don't want this anxiety. They're pushing it away and pushing it away and pushing it away and suppressing, right? But all that's doing is just more so building it up underneath, and then it's just going to come out as like a panic attack or something later on. What these clients are not doing, what these patients aren't doing, is they're not trying to figure out how to live with the anxiety. He talked about how anxiety, think about having anxiety as a ball in your hand. And on the video podcast, you can see this, but reaching out my hand, I have a ball in my hand. The ball is anxiety, right? No matter where you turn your body, you have your arm extended. No matter where you turn with that ball in your hand, with that anxiety in your hand, you're never going to be able to fully get rid of that anxiety in the first place. So what he tells his clients to do is you have to figure out how to live with this, because it's never going to go away. And to relay this back to fitness, I think a lot of people can mask their deeper issues and kind of push that onto fitness, right? This is an example of this would be somebody who's been trying to lose that quote unquote last 10 pounds for years, right? And I think people can constantly find something else to nitpick with their bodies. And so what happens is people constantly have something to improve. They're constantly delaying their happiness because they have something else that they want to change about their bodies. And so this is why I'm saying we need to spend more time thinking about, if we never reached these fitness goals in the first place, if you never lost that last 10 pounds, would you allow yourself to be happy? And I think that can be very difficult for some people, because then it really points the question back, like, if you don't have something necessarily to work on or to create this drama in your life, right? Because that can be addicting in itself. Chasing that last 10 pounds, that's a carrot that we can dangle in front of our heads for a very long time. And then actually you can also self-sabotage yourself over and over again, because you can diet for certain periods of time, and then you may be seeing good progress, and then something ends up happening, right? And then it sets yourself back, and then you're constantly forever chasing that last 10 pounds. And I think that it can just be important to make sure that the fitness goals aren't masking some deeper rooted issue, right? Like I think that this is what happens with people who become fitness addicts, right? They're basically never, some of them aren't very good at many things in life. And so whenever they find the gym, whenever they find something that they can control, and then that they become good at, and then that also gets attention from other people, right? That builds their confidence up, and which is great, which is amazing. Don't get me wrong, but there's going to be a limit. And if you keep pushing that limit, so they get that initial feedback in the beginning, that positive reinforcement, but then they can almost never be satisfied with their body again, because they feel like if they don't withhold this fitness persona, and a lot of fitness coaches fall into this trap because they feel like people won't respect them. They feel like they won't get that positive reinforcement from people if they would let themselves, gain a little bit of weight or get a little bit less out of shape, right? It's because fitness is that crutch that they're leaning on, because they don't have other things in life that fulfill them, that give them confidence. They didn't get the love they received as a child, if you want to get really deep. There's other underlying issues that fitness and nutrition, this ideology around their self-worth being wrapped up in this, that can be very dangerous, because you can also feel like you need to constantly watch your weight, or you need to constantly make sure you're doing X, Y, and Z. But sometimes you want to focus on other shit, right? And that's kind of, I want to kind of normalize that it's okay if you end up reaching a fitness goal, or actually, not that it is okay, but also expect whenever you reach that fitness goal that you're not going to be as happy as you thought you would be. And this is where that 10 pounds can always happen, is because if they reach that goal, then they no longer have anything else to work towards and because then they're just kind of left with, okay, I reached my goal and I'm still not as happy as I thought I would be. And that's really scary, because then you have to point inward, right? Then there's something wrong with you. It's no longer this external goal of, oh, I just need to lose this 10 more pounds and then I'll be happy. It's like, okay, you lost the 10 pounds, but you're still the same person. And that's the dangerous part that I don't think enough people talk about. And that's why my mission with all this fitness stuff is to use fitness to enhance your life and not be your life. There's a reason why that is my little slogan or whatever in my Instagram bio. But this is, I think it can really fuck with some people's heads with all these goals. So obviously I know I touched on a lot of different points there, but the main thing I want you guys to take away is to really do some deep inner work. I feel like inner work has become a cliche, but do some deep inner work and ask these tough questions of, why do you want this goal in the first place? And also, what would happen if you never reach this goal? Would you be able to live with yourself? Would you be okay? Would you still be able to be confident in yourself? As long as you're still living, because the flip side of this is, and don't worry, I'm going to wrap this up. The flip side of this is maybe you're just making shitty decisions, and your life is you're not withholding your responsibilities. You're not keeping the promises you make to yourself, right? You say this goal is important to you, but then you're just dicking around, right? Well, that's a different story, right? Because then there's other issues going on that you need to take care of. But if you're still living a healthy lifestyle, you're taking care of yourself, you're keeping the promises you make to yourself, and then you don't reach your fitness goals, would you still accept yourself? Like, would you still be okay with that? And I think that can be difficult for a lot of people to answer and to really go there and think about that. All right. And that is it for Minisode number 86. Thank you guys, as always, for listening and for watching. See ya.